captions are available. If you want to turn on closed captions, you can do so by clicking the captions icon. You might need to select the More icon with the three dots to find the captions icon. We will also email out all of these slides and the links we share throughout the workshop later today. We will also be following up with a short survey and would love all participation. I want to let participants know that the Q&A section is open and ready for your questions. We will have a dedicated Q&A section at the end. So if you drop a question into the Q&A at any time, it just queues itself in line, and we're not ignoring you, but waiting until the end of the presentations to answer those questions. Since you're here with us today, I bet you're thinking that you might want to be a candidate, but you just don't know where to start. It can all seem very overwhelming. Hopefully today will rid you of your anxiety. I will be your guide in the first part of today's training. For today's agenda, we'll cover many things such as the candidate manual, where to find it, the election calendar, online candidate filing, withdrawal of candidacy, ballot order, residency requirements, local voters pamphlet filings, miscellaneous King County election topics. We have Liddell from the Public Disclosure Commission as our special speaker to cover public disclosure information. We have Shireen, the city clerk from the city of Seattle, joining us as well, and Polly from the Seattle Ethics and Elections Commission. So let's get started. As we start, if there's one key takeaway from this workshop that I can impress upon you, it is that we're here to help. Our team wants to make at least the technical aspects of the process as easy as possible. Our goal with today's workshop is to demystify the process. The first place to start is on our website. We have a page that is 100% devoted to being an informational source for candidates, campaign managers, or anyone interested in the process. Several tools and resources can be found on the Running for Office page. That's right, we have a whole page dedicated to help our candidates. The best informational tool to start your journey with, is the candidate manual. Irene is placing a link to the candidate manual and Running for Office page into the chat. Please feel free to follow along. The candidate manual is cover to cover everything you need to know to become a candidate, like the elections calendar, when and where to place or where to file, voters pamphlet best practices. It is comprehensive, a wealth of information, and is a highly recommended place to start. For this presentation, if the slide references the candidate manual, the page number will be on the top left corner of the slide. Starting on page 6 of the candidate manual, you'll find the elections calendar. You'll find the key dates for the candidate filing, the primary and general elections. You'll find voters pamphlet statement deadlines, when ballots are mailed, when the election is certified, and other key dates. The calendars are color-coded. Red indicates the primary election, and then the next slide, the blue represents the general election. You'll find candidate-specific dates like the voters pamphlet submission deadlines, along with general information like when ballots are mailed, when the election is certified, etc. Again, these are color-coded for each specific election. Now, you know when to file, but how do you know what offices you can file for? Again, on the Running for Office page, you will find the next resource, the offices subject to election. This document has the position that is up for election, the filing fee amount, if any, the current incumbent, where to file, and voters pamphlet word limits. To file for office, you must file a declaration of candidacy and pay the filing fee, if any. You must possess the qualifications specified by law required for the office. If I wanted to be a municipal court judge, I would need to be a lawyer and in good standing with the Washington State Bar Association. You must be a registered voter of the district represented by the office. I know today this is very heavily directed towards the city of Seattle, but our video gets a lot of hits on YouTube. So for anybody watching out there, this information is pretty general. So for example, I'm in the Issaquah School District, so I would be eligible to run for the Issaquah School District Board, but I would not be able to run for the Seattle School District. The online filing opens at 8 a.m. on Monday, May 6th, and is open 24 hours a day until it closes at 5 p.m. on on Friday, May 10th. Excuse me. We encourage everyone to file early in the week and not wait until Friday afternoon. We encourage everyone to file online as it is the most convenient way. If you're prepared and ready to file, it won't take you longer than 10 minutes online. So there's absolutely no reason to waste gas, fight 405, sit in traffic on I-5 or 167. It's really, truly very easy online. We will be available to help candidates in person. We're open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. candidate filing week. On Friday, in-person filing will close at 5 p.m. It is important to note online filing also closes at 5 p.m. April 22nd is the first day that filings can be accepted by mail. Just know that we do not process them until Monday, May 6th. So, if you send them in a few couple weeks here, we're just putting those aside and not processing them until May 6th. Personally, if I was a candidate, I would file online as it is not only fast and convenient, but because I would receive an email confirmation that my filing was complete. At the time of filing, you must pay the filing fee. It is 1% of the annual salary, so it could be $0 to thousands of dollars. Please note filing fees are non-refundable. For those planning on submitting a filing fee petition, we encourage you to file early in the week. Each verified signature is worth $1. You cannot combine filing fee methods. Using the city of Seattle as an example, if the filing fee is $1,446.14 and only 1,400 signatures were verified as valid, so the person that signs needs to be a registered voter of the district, you're not able to submit payment for the difference, the $46.14. We recommend to collect 20 to 30% more signatures than needed. Remember that signers must be a registered voter of the district that you are filing for. Next, make a candidate filing checklist. Is your voter registration current? Do you know what office and position number that you want to file for? Do you meet the qualifications required for that office? Do you want your name to appear on the ballot? Does your office have a party preference? Do you need to set up a P.O. box or campaign email address? Do you have your filing fee payment ready? And so, before we go on, do you meet the qualifications for the office that you're interested in? Is my first question. On page 14 and 15 of the candidate manual, there's a chart that goes over additional residency requirements and other requirements. If you have more questions about if you meet certain requirements, you should direct them to the district. Again, you must be a registered voter of the district. For qualification questions, King County Elections is verifying that you're a registered voter of the district. Beyond that, those questions should go to the district that you're filing for. And then now that we're ready to file, you also want to double check your voter registration. On the King County Elections homepage, there is the My Voter Information Lookup tool. Right now, our website is under construction, so things have moved around. It used to be on the right-hand side, but now I think it's a little bubble towards the bottom there. Irene is dropping the link into the chat. Just by entering your name and date of birth or house number, you can verify that we have you at the correct residential address. Remember, you must be a registered voter of the district for which you are filing to represent. So if you move from Kent to Seattle, you'll want to verify that you have your new Seattle address on file. If it is incorrect, just give us a call and our voter registration team will assist you prior to filing. It is also important to note that every 10 years following the census, electoral districts are redrawn. This is done to make sure that each district represents an equal number of residents. Congressional, state, legislative, and county council districts were redrawn in 2021. The city of Seattle and some special purpose districts with internal boundaries completed redistricting in 2022. On March 15th, 2024, there was a lawsuit, and the court ordered the Secretary of State to conduct future elections according to Remedial Map 3B. In King County, legislative districts 5, 12, and 31 are impacted by these new lines. Again, we definitely recommend that you visit our My Voter information lookup tool and double check your voting district prior to filing, because your district may have changed in either of these processes. Next, have your ballot name ready. We will cover more of this in a minute. You'll also want to have your campaign information ready. This is your campaign address, email, phone number, and website. If you'd like them to be listed, again, we'll go over this shortly. For your ballot name, your first name can be a nickname. My name is Angela Kubota Wolbert. On the ballot, my name could be Angie, as my friends and family know me. My last name does not need to be the full registered last name. So for my ballot name, I can use Kubota, or I can use Wolbert, or I can use both. Don't use a name that denotes occupation or military rank. I couldn't be on the ballot as Dr. Angela Kubota. Also, do not use a name that misleads voters or indicates political affiliation. I could not be the amazing Angela Kubota on the ballot. Again, your ballot name cannot be changed. Once you file, you will need to refile and pay the filing fee again. Party preference is listed for partisan offices. The offices subject to election shows whether an office is partisan or nonpartisan in the first column. For this year and all years, City of Seattle and any cities, those are nonpartisan offices, so you wouldn't need to worry about listing your party preference. But if you're running for, a higher office like Ledge or um, Ledge District, or a state office, then you would definitely need to put your party preference. And in the offices subject to election, there's that column that lets you know if you do need to put that or not. A few important things about campaign contact information. Do not use a government email if you're an incumbent. Do you have your campaign contact info ready to go? This information will be made available to the public during filing week and through the online voters guide and the local voters pamphlet. At the time of filing, your campaign email, campaign phone, campaign website will be listed in the CSV spreadsheet on our website. Also, a mailing address will be listed. If you leave the campaign address field blank, it will list your residential address. Updates to your campaign information appearing online can be made after filing. Just send us a detailed email, and Chelsea Ann will speak more to this in the local voters pamphlet section. And then I think next is our declaration of candidacy. So here's an example of our declaration of candidacy. If I was preparing to file online, I would print this out. I would fill it out beforehand in preparation. I would file as early as possible using the printed declaration as my cheat sheet. And I would file as early as possible online, like on Monday or Tuesday. I would file online because it's easy and convenient. And then remember, late submissions are not accepted. Candidates who file online will receive 2 emails, one as a receipt of filing and one that your filing has been approved. Once approved, you'll appear on our Who Has Filed page on our website. Our Who Has Filed page list is updated first at noon on the Monday of filing week, and then 6 p.m. at a minimum. We try to update as much as we can throughout the week, but we are guaranteeing noon and 6 p.m. And then also for your declaration of candidacy, there's no double filing. So you can't file for 2 positions that would appear on the ballot at the same time, unless you're filing to be a PCO. So your name can only appear on the ballot once. You cannot file for 2 positions. You can hold two positions, so you could file for um, your city office and you could file for something else if the district allows for that. Um, but you couldn't be on the ballot twice if they were up in the same year. And then, so again, the exception for this is precinct committee officers, though PCOs are filing this year in 2024. So you could see your name twice that way. Again, check that you have the correct position number ready. Position numbers are important. This is an example that if you filed, so, with only this one city of Seattle position up, this won't be a problem. But in other years, for instance, if you filed for the Newcastle City Council position number 2, but you realize you meant to file for position number 4, we would not be able to change it for you. It seems like a quick and easy fix, just a 2 to a 4, but it would require a withdrawal and you would need to repay the filing fee again. Before filing your declaration of candidacy, please proofread. Check your ballot name. The emphasis should also be on making sure you have the right office when filing. Check both the correct office and position number. Filing fees, if any, again, are non-refundable. A second filing fee must be paid. And then I don't know about you, but sometimes I buy things that look really great in the store, or I think will look really cool in my home. And then I get home and get some feedback from my family that makes me question my decision making. It's my buyer's remorse moment. This could also happen with filing. Just know that the last day to withdraw is Monday, May 13th at 5 p.m. Regardless of circumstance, you would need to withdraw by 5 p.m. Otherwise, your name would appear on the ballot. This includes not only changing your mind, but moving out of the district, major life events, or illness. Liddell will also cover notifying the PDC here in a bit. What if you change your mind and don't have a printer? Well, lots of us don't have printers these days anymore, but all that's needed is the candidate's signature. So the candidate's signature is required. You can write it on a piece of paper, your name, the office that you would like to withdraw, sign and date it, take a picture with your smartphone, and email it over. It's really easy peasy. We'll get you withdrawn if it is before the deadline. Remember, filing fees are non-refundable. And then next slide. So now Chelsea Ann will cover filing online and our next session in our next two sections. Thank you.
Thanks, Angie. So we'll now be doing a demonstration of the online candidate filing process. We'll start by going to kingcounty.gov/elections to pull up the King County Elections homepage. This is what our homepage looks like. On our homepage in the right-hand column, we have a For Candidates section. When you click on the For Candidates link, a small list will appear. This list currently has 3 options. The first, Candidate Resources, will take you to our Running for Office page. The third option, Campaign Contributions, will take you to a short page we have about reporting campaign contributions and the contribution limit for county offices. For today's demonstration, we want the second option, Candidate Filing. Once you click on the candidate filing link, you'll be taken to our online candidate filing page. On May 6th, there will be a live link to the candidate portal near the top of the page. This is the online candidate filing portal. Step 1 is the sign-in page. There are instructions and important details to read through here. In the fields toward the bottom of the page, you'll need to enter your first name, last name, and date of birth exactly as they appear in your voter registration. Click the login button to proceed to the next step. We're logging in as Jane Doe, our example candidate today. This step, Step 1B, is another opportunity to verify your voter registration information. Please make sure it is correct. If you need to make any updates, you can click on the Update button, but we recommend contacting our office. If everything looks good to go, click on Verify to go to the next step. Step 2 is the candidate portal dashboard. Once you've created a filing, it will appear here. To create a new filing, click on the blue Create New button. We are then taken to step 3, where you'll select the office you're filing for. To start, click on the drop-down menu to select the district type. Once the district type is selected, the offices in that district subject to election this year will be listed. Make sure to select the correct office you wish to file for. Once you're ready to start filing, you can click on the Start button. Step 4 asks for the same information Angie covered in the Declaration of Candidacy section. The fields with a red outline are required. The blue blurbs above fields provide instructions and clarification. The first section is the contact information section. This is how our office will contact you. We use the contact information you provide here for notifications and general correspondence. In the ballot name field, please enter your name exactly as you'd like it to appear on the ballot. As a reminder, ballot name requirements are on page 12 of our candidate manual. Next is the campaign contact information. This is what will be posted online and in the local voters pamphlet. This is how the public will reach out to you. Lastly, the campaign mailing address. It isn't published in the local voters pamphlet that gets mailed out. However, it is published on our website. If you're concerned about using your residential address, you could provide a PO box here. Once you've entered all the required information, click Continue. Step 5 is the summary page. Please review the summary page and make sure everything looks correct to you. This is where you'll want to make sure you're filing for the correct office. You should also make sure that your ballot name is exactly as you want it. If you file for the wrong office or change your mind about your ballot name after submitting your declaration, you'll have to submit a withdrawal of candidacy and submit a new filing, including a new filing fee. After confirming all the information looks correct, click the Submit Now button. That'll bring up this Declaration of Candidacy oath. Read through it and click on the I affirm the oath and wish to file button. We're nearly done. If the office you're filing for has a filing fee, you'll need to pay the filing fee to submit your declaration. Fill out the form and click on the Submit and Pay button. Step 7 is the confirmation page. Getting to this page means we successfully filed online. You can print this page for your own records. Like Angie said, you should expect to receive 2 different emails regarding your initial filing. The first email is to let you know we've received your declaration of candidacy. The second email will be sent once someone in our office has reviewed and approved your filing. Filings will be reviewed within 24 hours of submission. That's it for online candidate filing. It really is that easy and quick. Now let's talk about the local voters pamphlet. All candidates may submit a statement for the voters pamphlet. If you move on to the general election, you'll be given the opportunity to submit a new statement and photo for the general election. Offices that file their declaration of candidacy with our office also submit their voters pamphlet materials with our office. Likewise, offices that file their declaration of candidacy with the Secretary of State's office will need to submit their voters pamphlet materials directly to the Secretary of State's office. The following information is specific to offices that file their voters pamphlet materials with us. So here's an example of a candidate statement on the screen. We'll go into these in more depth in a few minutes, but this is the general layout. At the top, we've got your name and contact information next to your photo. Below that, we have your education, occupation, and statement. Word limits vary by office and are listed in the offices subject to election. Okay, let's review some deadlines. We cannot accept late submissions. All materials must be submitted by 5 p.m. on the day of the deadline. For the primary, you can begin submitting your pamphlet information the same day you file. Our local voters pamphlet portal opens on May 6th, the Monday of candidate filing week. The local voters pamphlet portal will remain open 24/7 until 5 p.m. May 21st. If you move on to the general election, you're given the opportunity to submit a new statement and photo. The local voters pamphlet portal will reopen on July 22nd, the first day you can begin submitting pamphlet materials for the general election. It will remain open 24/7 until 5 p.m. on August 9th. All materials must be submitted by 5 p.m. on the day of the deadline. Again, we cannot accept late submissions. So, you can submit a photo to be included in the local voters pamphlet. The photo should include your head and shoulders. We recommend a light colored background. However, we don't recommend using a photo with a white background. Should use a recent photo no more than 5 years old. Your photo cannot include hats, clothing, or insignia that suggest a public office, like a judicial robe or uniform. When you're choosing a photo, consider that the photo will be published in the physical pamphlet that's mailed to households in the county. In the physical pamphlet, your photo will be printed in black and white on newsprint paper. It's a thinner, light gray paper. Not all photos that look good on your phone or computer look good in the physical voters pamphlet. Your statement, should be about you. Format your statement as an essay with your text and paragraphs. Don't use tables, lists, or bullet points. If you want to emphasize something, you can use italics. If you submit a statement with bold text, underlined text, or text in all caps, we'll change the prohibited formatting to italics. Word limits. Please pay attention to your word limits. The size of the jurisdiction you file in determines the word limit for your statement. Essentially, candidates for larger jurisdictions have higher word limits for their statements. Sometimes we do receive statements over the word or paragraph limits. When possible, we'll send the candidate an email and give them a chance to correct their statement. If necessary, though, we will delete words or remove paragraph breaks, starting from the bottom of the statement until it meets the word and paragraph limits. Campaign contact information is published in the local voters pamphlet and can include a phone number, email address, and website. Government web and email addresses are not permitted and will not be published in the local voters pamphlet. If you need to update your campaign contact information after you submit your voters pamphlet materials, please email our office about the change you're requesting to your campaign contact information. To have the campaign contact information updated in the local voters pamphlet for the primary election, we need to be notified by 5 p.m. on June 17th. For the general election, we need to be notified by 5 p.m. on September 19th. Nope, sorry, 9th, September 9th. Contact information on our website can be updated after these deadlines. So we print statements as they're submitted. We do not proofread for spelling, punctuation, or syntax errors, and we don't edit statements. Additionally, changes are not allowed after the deadlines. Because of this, we highly recommend proofreading carefully and thoroughly before submitting statements to us. We'll email a proof to you before your statement is published so that you can review what we'll be printing. The only edits we can accept at that point are if there's a discrepancy between what was submitted and what the proof shows, or updates to contact information. To update or change your statement or photo, you'll need to withdraw your voters pamphlet materials and resubmit before the submission deadline, 5 p.m. on May 21st. To withdraw your voters pamphlet materials, you can email our office or submit a completed local voters pamphlet withdrawal form before that 5 p.m. deadline on May 21st. If you withdraw your voters pamphlet materials but don't resubmit before the submission deadline, no statement or photo will appear in the local voters pamphlet. Okay, so moving on to some miscellaneous topics. For candidate order, our office determines the order of candidate names on the primary ballot by lot draw. We conduct the lot draw shortly after 5 p.m. on the Friday of candidate filing week. For the general election, candidates are listed in order of who received the most votes in the primary. If a race skips the primary and moves directly to the general, the candidates will be listed in the lot draw order from the primary. Voter data requests. You can request voter data. Data may only be used for political purposes. To request voter data, please contact the Secretary of State's office. We've provided the contact information for the Secretary of State's Public Records Office here. We also recommend reviewing the state's reports, data, and statistics page. Similarly, for signature challenge data requests, you can request this list of voters. It's a list of voters who have a signature challenge on their ballot for the current election. To request this, please contact the Secretary of State's Public Records Office. So for voter registration drives, candidates may hold voter registration drives if they'd like to. We've included some tips for holding a successful registration drive on page 27 of the candidate manual. Placement of campaign signs. King County Elections has no role in the regulation of campaign signs. Where you place your campaign signs will determine which rules you'll need to follow. Signs placed within the limits of a city or town need to follow the municipality's rules. We provide links to the county and Department of Transportation's political sign regulations on our Running for Office page. You'll need to follow the county's rules if you're placing a campaign sign in unincorporated King County. The Department of Transportation rules that we link to on our website apply to campaign signs placed along state highways. So observing, you can observe, you can take a self-guided tour of elections via the viewing loop on the second floor of our Renton headquarters. The viewing loop is open on weekdays 8:30 to 4:30 during an election. We also provide live election cam streams on our website during an election. For the primary, the viewing loop will be open and the webcams will be streaming from July 17th through August 20th. For the general, the viewing loop will be open and the webcams will be streaming from October 16th through November 26th. Candidates and representatives of political parties can also attend observer trainings and observe election activities in person. For more information about campaign finance, please contact the Washington State Public Disclosure Commission directly. We've listed their website and phone number on the slide. We'll also include their contact information in our follow-up email. And right now we'll hear even more from them, from Liddell with the Public Disclosure Commission.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. It's going to be our PDC website. Okay, so our website, pdc.wa.gov. You'll notice that it has the big blue box here that says it's Public Disclosure Commission and then the legislative building behind it. Our website has sections for everyone that the PDC regulates and anyone that has to file with the PDC. We have one specific section for candidates. You can find that in two spots. Up in this green banner, you can find for candidates, or if you also scroll down, you'll find a for candidates section here. When you click on the for candidates section, you're going to have some additional sections that you can click on. And anytime that you may be on the PDC website between Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., please note that the PDC is open and available for questions or how to find items. So for a candidate, we're going to start off on the new candidate FAQ. So for the new candidate FAQ, it talks about what starts the whole process, and this is what is for the PDC. So according to disclosure law, you become a candidate with the PDC, and that's when it starts your 14-day filing that you have to file either your, depending on the office that you're running for, it could just be a F1, which is a personal financial affairs statement. It could also be the candidate registration. If the jurisdiction has over 5,000 registered voters, then it's a C level is what we call it, and you'll be filing at the very minimum that candidate registration and that personal financial affairs statement. So according to disclosure law, for the PDC, if you accept a contribution or spend money for your campaign, if you reserve space or you purchase advertising to promote your candidacy, or you authorize anybody else to do these activities for you, or you state publicly that you're seeking office, or if you file a declaration of candidacy during the declaration week, that is when you become a candidate according to the PDC, and that's when it starts at 14 days that you need to file those items. So if we look at the third one here, once I become a candidate, then what? This has great links. It'll link you to the personal financial affairs and the candidate registration. And it does say if required, and that basically is what I just spoke about a moment ago. It has to do with the jurisdiction and how many registered voters were in the jurisdiction. Okay, and all of the items that the PDC requires are to be filed electronically. We do offer the registration application and also the personal financial affairs statement. Those are all electronic applications that you use from our website. It does require a SAW login. You can, most people just use their personal SAW login that they're already using for maybe, doing their tabs or the driver's license. However, you could create a different one. That's up, we leave that up to you as the candidate. I just want to reiterate what has already been spoken about is please do not use any official governmental email address for your SAW because it may not be a violation for the PDC if you were to file your personal financial affairs statement and you actually held an office. However, it would be a violation to file a candidate registration using that governmental address. So we just recommend that you actually don't use a governmental email address when you're doing a SAW account for the PDC filing. Okay. And so once you are a candidate and you file that candidate registration, one of the things for being a candidate registration that you are going to choose is your reporting options. You have the choice of a mini or a full reporting. And so for our mini reporting, sometimes that's recommended, especially if you don't have an opponent. You may not want to raise money sometimes. Sometimes we have candidates who they only decide to raise money if they go on past the primary election. So for mini reporting, You can raise or spend no more than $7,000. And for a candidate, that's in addition to your filing fee that you may be paying. And you can also accept no more than $500 from any one contributor. And I know that for City of Seattle, there may be different contribution limits that you may have to pay attention to. They're different than the PDC. The PDC is a state level. And I know that we have representatives for City of Seattle and SEC that will probably be speaking about that later, but I'm just speaking about PDC. So just please note that. So you can choose mini reporting, and then only thing, you still keep all your campaign records. However, you don't report the money you raise or the expenditures that you spend to the PDC when you're doing mini filing. When you choose full reporting, that is where you're going to actually use, the PDC does offer a software. It's called Orca, it's online reporting of campaign activity. There are also third-party vendor kits that you could use to report that activity in. And again, that's all online currently. And that's where you're going to enter in your contributions that you have received or your expenditures that you have had for being a candidate. Some of the expenditures that are forgotten about, unfortunately, when you file with the PDC, so that filing fee is reportable. If you do a website or appeal box specifically for your items that you're going to be doing as a candidate, those are things that are reportable to the PDC also. If you do decide to choose mini reporting and you make it through the primary, or you decide that the mini reporting and the limited money that you can spend or raise is not going to work for your campaign, there is a process that you can do with the PDC. It's a reporting from mini to full. However, there are deadlines to be paying attention to for that. So for the primary, June 24th would be the deadline. And basically for that deadline, you'd have to have everything into the PDC. So that means that you would more than likely use an Orca to report all your contributions and all of your expenditures that you've had for the campaign. And then August 30th is also the deadline for the general election. You would be working with a filer assistant specialist. That is my job title at the PDC. Currently, we have 4 on staff. So myself or one of my 3 colleagues would be helping you through this process as far as what you need and to report. And you do work pretty close with them for if you need it. If you don't need it, obviously, then you don't have to work close with us. But that is one of the things that, when you call the PDC, we do work with your campaign and work with you to help you know what you need to file and to make sure that you're also filing timely. Hopefully, we have those dates on our calendar. I'll show you a couple different spots also on our website where they're at. And we also offer training. We have what we call our Disclosure 101 training, which is the laws and rules, basic laws and rules. And then we also have our Orca training that we do that's specifically to that electronic application that we have for reporting the contributions and the expenditures. So I'm going to pause right there and I'm going to move on to talk about the personal financial affairs statement. So whereas the candidate registration is something that's about your campaign, the personal financial affairs is something that's actually about you, the individual, and it covers a few different sections, covers 7 different sections. And it's not, I think one of the most common questions that we receive at the PDC is someone going to know my net worth when I fill out this form? And it's not really that type of statement. Yes, you do put your income, your assets, however, all of that's in a dollar range. And it's a snapshot of everything that happens. So when you're a candidate and if you don't currently hold an office, it's going to go back 12 months. And it's a snapshot of everything that happened in that 12 months. So for example, if you changed mortgage companies, you would have the old mortgage company and the current mortgage company both on that report for that time period. Same thing if you refinanced your car or something and you still had debt on that it would show what previously happened maybe in that 12 months and what is currently happening in that 12 months. Okay, so I'm going to click on completing the F1, because we just want to take a look at the sections here. Basically, we also call it a conflict of interest statement. The public has a right to know where you have your interest in, where you have income, where you have assets. And one of those things that I always explain when somebody calls and asks me about this is if you're running for city council and you also own a construction company, your construction company is one that who's bidding to do some work for the city council or even the city. The voters have a right to know that you own that construction company and you're actually on the city council. That could be a conflict. And so you want to make sure that you discuss that with that government agency to find out whether you need to recluse yourself from voting or those type of things. That's why we call it a conflict of interest also. So the sections that you're going to go over: income, your financial assets, Washington real estate. So if you have any real estate in Washington that you own, and then you'll also fill out the mortgage for that. There's debt. One thing that's debt you don't report like credit card or department store debt. And then if you own a business, and then some additional items depending on whether or not you hold an office, that would be the gifts and travel if you're already currently in the office. And then if you have any dependents or a spouse or a registered domestic partner, their information is also on that F1. And our website has the link so you can check out how to report your income, the different sections, the assets, and then disclosing those business or other organizational interests. Sometimes, as we have spoken about previously, sometimes you decide, I love it how Angie says buyer's remorse. That to me is just one thing that just I keep and I retain through my year is just if you decide for whatever reason that you do not want to be a candidate, there is not only do you follow up with your county or your Secretary of State, depending on what office you're running for, you also need to follow up with the PDC. We do have on our website kind of what you're going to do, the process you're going to do if you end a campaign before the election is held. The other thing that we have that you will be filling out for the PDC, and there is a deadline for that, is the termination statement. So it's a statement of termination of campaign. As you specifically fill this out for the PDC, it explains your name, your office out, your jurisdiction. You're going to have your signature here, your date signed, but it also has a date of June 30th. Anything that was received after June 30th means that the PDC will still require you to file reports, even if you technically aren't a candidate because you haven't filled this out with the PDC. So just please remember that you may have multiple things that you need to do and multiple agencies that you need to talk to. Okay, and so I did mention that I would show you on our calendar where a couple things are. We have our due dates. So right now we're going to look at the month of April. I'm just going to scroll down here, try to get most of the whole month in. You'll notice that if you're already doing a campaign, if you'd already been having expenditures and contributions, you would have a report filed today. You could have multiple see-through reports, and that's what we talk about in our Disclosure 101 class. Our next one coming up is next week on Tuesday at 10 a.m. And then also the ORCA training we have next week on Wednesday at 1:30 a.m. We do offer trainings once a month. When it gets closer to May and June, we offer trainings about every 2 weeks there. So we do offer more around declaration time. This is, if you click on it, it kind of explains what it is. There's additional information, and it's an Eventbrite link that you're going to click on to register. And then it also has the date and time there. It is a free class that the PDC offers for training, but we do require registration for it. One thing that I didn't have already saved here, but I want to show you, we have a nice search box here. And there are different things that you can type in. I want to do the key reporting dates. This is specifically for the PDC. When items are due, not only do we have it on our calendar, but we also have a web page that's dedicated to it. And you'll see that it says within 2 weeks, being a candidate. And you'll see that there's the reporting requirements. A lot of reporting requirements change on June 1st, whether that becomes where the C3s are due weekly instead of monthly, and also changes for when those C4 reporting periods are due based on whether you're on the primary or the general. The PDC does have mandatory reporting regardless of activity. Those are what we call our 21-day and our 7-day pre-election and our post-election reports. And this not only does that show on our calendar, but it also shows on this web page for when those are due. And some of those reports cover, so like the 21-day pre-primary. So if you're going to be on the primary, it literally covers June 1st to July 15th, and it's literally due the next day on July 16th. So I just want to make sure that candidates are aware that some days there literally is just that really tight turnaround, and it is a mandatory report regardless of your activity that you have spent for your campaign. Okay, and then I'm just going to go to our next one here. It's just the contact, how to contact PDC. We do have that also on our website. And I know that it was mentioned that it would also be information that was sent to you. On our website, there are things the same. The PDC 50 logo will always get you back to our main web page. You'll notice the green banner through all of the web pages stays the same. And then we have this nice little green banner down below. There's a glossary for terms. This is also how you find the contact depending on which page you are. If you need to get back to the 4 candidates, it'll take you back to there. And that is everything that I have. And I'm going to go ahead and stop my share.
Thanks, Liddell.
You're welcome.
And again, for any of our attendees, we'll answer all questions at the end. Next up, we have Shireen from the City of Seattle. Welcome, Shireen.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I can't remember if we decided that I was sharing my own slides or not.
We're prepared either way. Would you like to share your own slides?
I would not like to share my own slides if that's okay.
Let me get that pulled up.
Thank you. Only because I need to have my notes up. But I'm Shireen Jedman. I'm the city clerk for the city of Seattle. I am new, so this is very helpful just to be a part of because I'm like, oh, is that what? Yes, okay, love it, love it. So this is very informative, especially to those of us who don't know. And so my presentation is going to be very short. It's just an overview of our office and how that relates to elections. If you could go to the next slide. There we go. So just really quickly going to talk about the role of the city clerk, and it's a division within the legislative department of the city of Seattle. And we work directly with the city council while also providing other citywide services. And I'm just going to take some time to introduce you to the services we offer, both generally and as it relates to elections. So the city clerk is a neutral and impartial city official. We serve all branches of the government as well as the public. Some cities may not necessarily break up. So to clarify, City of Seattle, we're broken up by the 3 branches of government: the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. We administer the city legislative process, which, you know, all the things that city council votes for. We advise on meeting procedure and the Open Public Meeting Act's compliance. We keep and provide access to records of council activity. We house the City Records Management Program, the Seattle Municipal Archives, and the Legislative Department's Public Disclosure Team. We maintain a registry of appointments to boards and commissions within the city, and we have just one person who does that. So really trying to get that one person some help to do it. It's a lot. We receive and manage all mandated filings from city departments or even those outside of city departments. We manage Seattle's domestic partnership registration program for the general public. We receive claims for damages and service of process for the city. And we serve as filing officer for referenda, initiatives, initiative petitions, charter amendment petitions from the public. So that's where we come into play when it comes to elections. So furthermore, we're the ex officio elections office for the city of Seattle, and we coordinate in partnership with King County Elections and Seattle Ethics and Elections. In most cases, the Office of the City Clerk will engage with the successful candidates following certification of the election by King County in November, possibly a little earlier. We know they start getting pretty antsy. The minute election day happens, people are going to have questions. So we try to engage in appropriate manners. We will reach out to, so we'll reach out to the schedule. We schedule an orientation, an onboarding, an oath of office, all of that prior to January 1st, 1201, which is when it needs to be done by, because the RCW prescribes that timing for the administration of the oath of office. So, for example, this last time, I had sent an email to people just to specifically say, you are currently the leading candidate. And we do not know who is the winning candidate until certification. This is I have a background in elections as well, right? So I'm very careful to be like, you are not the lead. You're just leading. You have not won, but just in case, here's some questions we're sure you have. So we try to just answer questions that we can anticipate, because it's a crazy time and it's very exciting. Okay, next slide, please. So some helpful resources that you should look into, because you'll notice that I said something about onboarding and training. One of the questions we kept getting, WMCA offers a training on OPMA, and we here at City of Seattle offer our training because we have the city charter, and it creates very specific rules that are not broad enough to cover any other city. So we offer our own trainings, and we have a really good team of people who conduct those. But you'd be able to find this information on our website listed there. And so we definitely recommend the city charter, the Seattle Municipal Code, and the City Council Rules of Procedure, which all make Seattle very specific. And then you have the RCW, with OPMA, the Open Public Meetings Act and Public Records Act coming out of there. And those are all very crucial. How a bill becomes a law describes our legislative process. Legislation and research does a little more explanation of that, and lets people know exactly what our information services unit is able to do. The council and district pages will give you insight as to what current council members are doing. The council calendar is when there's meetings. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 committees, and they each have their own meetings. So the calendar looks very busy because it is. And then you have the election related links as they apply. So highly recommend looking that up. And then next slide, if you do have any questions, this is my contact information. I do highly recommend reaching out to me. Should you have any questions, we're happy to help. I will say that more than likely I'm going to get the answer from someone else, but I'm happy to coordinate and act as middleman. But this way it just kind of consolidates where you get to ask your questions should you have any. But we are very happy to help. We look forward to meeting any and all candidates. And yeah, that's pretty much all the information I have from our office. Thank you though for the opportunity to be able to speak with everyone.
Thank you, Shireen. That was very helpful. Next, we have Polly from Seattle Ethics and Elections. Hi, Polly.
Hi, thank you for having me today. You all have done some of the real good deep dive. And I'm going to do, I hope, a little bit more of a broader overview. So hopefully it won't take too long. But the Seattle Ethics and Elections Commission, I work for the Seattle Ethics and Elections Commission. I'm the campaign finance person, which is the elections part of our name. It's really campaign disclosure, not the conduct of elections. Our office is an independent agency within the city of Seattle. We have 7 commissioners who govern what we do as the staff, and the 3 of those commissioners are appointed by the mayor, 3 appointed by the city council, the 7th appointed by the other 6. And so the staff at Seattle Ethics and Elections, we work for the commission, which is a nice feature. Not every city has an organization like ours. The reason that you might be interested in interacting with us is we provide campaign disclosure training for candidates who are running for city office. We also have a public financing program called the Democracy Voucher Program, which I'll talk a little bit about. And then we also produce the Video Voters Guide for candidates running for countywide office in King County, Port of Seattle, Seattle School Board, and any City of Seattle candidates. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. You can proceed. So the campaign disclosure piece, I provide, I call it one-on-one remote trainings for candidates and treasurers. And that means if your campaign is interested in running for office, I will talk with you about the reporting requirements that we have in the city of Seattle. So candidates who run for office in the city of Seattle must comply with the state, the PDC reporting requirements, and the city's reporting requirements. Fortunately, we were able to coordinate on some levels. So the reports that you file with the PDC are the same reports that you can file with the city of Seattle. But sometimes we have slight variations on information that we want you to report. So we'll talk about those specific things in that training. We'll also talk about various record keeping tools and the general do's and don'ts for candidates. And of course, as I said, the differences between state law and city law. And I think Liddell referenced that we have different contribution limits. And that is true. For candidates running for office in the city of Seattle, the contribution limit for the entire election cycle is now $650. That's different from the state where you get the contribution limit in the primary, and then if you proceed, you get the same contribution limit in the general. In the city of Seattle, if somebody's giving you $650, that's the end of it. We have different contribution limits for candidates participating in the Democracy Voucher Program, and I will talk about that on the next slide. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to reference, I think Liddell also mentioned a question about net worth. Interestingly, candidates are also required to file a separate F1 with the city of Seattle. That's that personal financial interest statement. Legislation passed a few years ago. I think it was through an initiative. So the public proposed in an initiative that we add a line on our public finance form where candidates will report their net worth. So yeah, that may be what's generating some of your questions, Liddell. But we do not post the F1s on our website. They are public information, and anybody can request them. And generally, every year, around April or May, I get a request from the media wanting to see the F1s, and they might do a little story, and then that's the end of it. But if you have questions about that, feel free to contact me. Okay, the Democracy Voucher Program. So this was a publicly proposed initiative that was passed in 2025. It's actually coming up for renewal again in it passed in 2015 and it's coming up for renewal in 2025. And basically we provide vouchers to residents in the city of Seattle. Every registered voter gets them, but people who are residents of Seattle and eligible to make campaign contributions and over 18 are eligible to receive democracy vouchers. In 2024, because it's a special election, we are issuing 2 $25 vouchers instead of 4 $25 vouchers, which is what we normally disperse to the public. In 2023, all the candidates on the general election were participants in the Democracy Voucher Program. And almost all of the elected officials in the city of Seattle used the Democracy Voucher Program to be elected. So it's been a very successful program. We do a lot of training for folks who are interested in participating in the Democracy Voucher Program. So I encourage you, even if you think that's not the kind of thing that you want to participate in, please just have a conversation with us, because at the very least, you should know what your opponents are doing. So in 2024, we have $1.8 million to spend for the candidates running for our at-large city council position. It's much more money in a regular election year, but since there's only one office, we've got 1.8 million, which is more than enough to cover any candidates who want to run. And then the qualifying process for city council, for these at-large city council seats, requires that candidates collect 400 contributions of $10 or more, and 400 signatures from Seattle residents. All of those must be from Seattle residents. I strongly encourage you to contact the Democracy Voucher team about setting up a training to learn more about this, going to the website, and I've got that contact information at the end here. And just learning more about this program. It's really been kind of an exciting thing of getting people engaged in the process. All right, I think we can proceed to the next one. So candidates have until 2 weeks after the filing the declaration of candidacy to decide if they want to participate in the Democracy Voucher Program. That is not a deadline to qualify. There's no set deadline to qualify, but clearly you want to qualify by getting in those 400 contributions and 400 signatures early so that you can get access to those vouchers. But in order to participate, you must sign a pledge saying that you're going to participate no later than May 24th. And again, here's how to reach the Democracy Voucher Program to learn more about participating. All right, and what do we have next? The Video Voters Guide. This is, before I launch into the Video Voters Guide, I want to say one other thing. In addition to doing your voters pamphlet statement that you'll file with King County Elections, the City of Seattle, for Seattle candidates, we have what we call candidate introductions. One of the things we learned when we started distributing all these vouchers was we started getting calls from people: who's running, what are their issues, And we'd say, oh, well, you can go to their website. And they're like, no, 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 I don't want to wade through all of that. I just want to know what their platform is. And so we started inviting candidates to submit a statement to us. So whether you're participating in the Democracy Voucher Program, if you're a candidate in the city of Seattle, so mayor, city council, city attorney, you can submit your statement to us, and we will publish that in 18 languages, and we will get that out. It's on a rolling basis. So when we receive them, we send them through the translation process, and then we get those out to the public, usually long before the voters pamphlet statement comes out. So it's a great resource for Seattle candidates. So the other thing that we do is the video voters guide. And so we will contact all of those candidates running countywide in King County, in addition to the King County council members. The Port of Seattle, Seattle School District, and City of Seattle candidates, and for countywide and citywide ballot measures. We will invite all of those participants to tape a 2-minute statement, and we will air those videos. We'll package them up, and we'll put them on the air about I think the same day that the voters pamphlet drops. So it's another way for the public to get an idea of who the candidate is. The nice thing about these videos is once they're available to the public, the candidates can download those statements and put them on your website. And again, the public loves hearing directly from the candidates, not in a splashy, advertising way. This is the most popular download on the Seattle Channel's website. They get thousands and thousands of hits. So as a candidate, when you hear from us right around filing week to set up your taping session, try and move that email to the top of your priority list. We will get you in and out there within 30 minutes, and it's another great resource. So if you do decide to run for office, be looking for an email from us around filing week. It might be just after filing week this year, and we will get you in to do a taping. Do I have another slide? So contact us, ask us questions. If you're just thinking about it, I love to talk to people who are on the fence, and I can talk you down or I can talk you up. Wherever you are, but contact us. Like Shireen said, if you're not sure who to contact, is this a county thing? Do I go to the Secretary of State? Do I? I don't mind if you want to contact me, and I'm happy to point you to the right place. Contact us, find out, just what it entails to run for office. We're happy to do that. Contact the Democracy Voucher Program to find out. I didn't mention this before, but city council candidates, if you decide to participate, once you qualify, that makes you eligible for $450,000 in vouchers. You can't spend more than $225,000 in the primary, but overall, you're eligible for $450,000. So your team has to go out and collect those vouchers. People will mail them in. The vouchers come in, so it's really a remarkable thing. And then the video voters guide and the candidate introduction, both are great resources for candidates. So please just contact us. And that's all I have for you today.
Okay, so just looking at the Q&A, or I'm going to unmute our guests, and if there's any questions, just feel free to jump in before we close. I didn't see anything in the Q&A. No questions? Okay, well, if you do come up with a question, feel free to email us. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. The takeaways that we hope that you have from today's workshop is that we're here to help you in your running for office journey. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us in election services, and I'm sure that is also true, as both Shireen and Polly said. For their offices as well, and Liddell. Chelsea Ann, Irene, and myself are here to help you and always available by phone or email to support you through this process, and that's year round, not just during candidate filing. So if you're thinking of running either this year or next year or the following year, definitely reach out and get your questions asked and answered at any time. We will send a workshop follow-up email with the slides, the links included in the chat, and a quick survey, which will take you only about 2 minutes to complete on average. We love any and all feedback, as we're always trying to improve our content. The survey also includes a question about what office you're considering filing for. If you're here today, we're guessing it is the City of Seattle office, but this is only for internal purposes, regardless, to help us tailor our content in future uh, workshops. So I'll just do one last call out if anybody has any questions. And if not, we will end our session today. So thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Till next time. Take care.
You.